The city of Tel Aviv and its surrounding suburbs has 4 million Jews living there. Just behind it is the New York metropolitan area with around 2 million Jews. This includes New Jersey, parts of Long Island, parts of upstate New York, and the 5 boroughs. You know, my friends, if you were the Iranian regime and you wanted to not only cause havoc inside of America and in the Jewish world in particular, and you were, not really able to attack the heart of Israel directly, or the economic heart, let's say, what would you do? What would be your next step? What would be plan B? Or plan A plus? Let's put it that way. Or A2, parallel. Well, you could take somebody who has been groomed since birth to be your agent. Folks, you may be wondering who that somebody is. Well, most people don't know this. Zoran Mamdani, despite the fact that he is Indian, ethnically Indian, as we know that he's a Muslim. When I say he's a Muslim, I don't know that he believes in the tenets of Islam. I say that he's what's called a card-carrying Muslim. Right? He's a card carrier. More specifically, he is and you guys could look this up, this is available information, a 12er Shiite Muslim. That is the exact same sect as the Ayatollah of Iran and his malacracy. So let me say tzvi. So what does this mean? Like, this guy's got nothing to do with the regime. Well, my friends, again, if you were the Iranian regime, what would be your next plan of attack? Because right now, folks, we see a scenario where President Trump is trying to make all the big cities run by Democrats, pardon my language, shitholes. He's trying to make them not only great again, he's just trying to make them safe. Much less make them great. So how do you destabilize a country? Well, you go right for the gusto. You go to the financial center of the country, New York City. You go to the place with the most Jews, New York City. Folks, today, it's funny, we found out that his mother, it's not so funny actually, Mamdani's mother, who's a film director, she's been in Hollywood for a very long time. Most of her films were funded by who? Qatar. So, if you wanted to destabilize a country, if you wanted to destabilize the finances of a country, this would probably be your best bet, guys. You could see that first of all, this guy came seemingly out of nowhere. He's infinitely funded. You know, you could say, oh, well, we don't know where he got the funding from. You know, it's funny, guys. One of the candidates, Curtis Sliwa, he has been funded by New Yorkers. I think he's the person that's got the most funding from actual New Yorkers, people in New York, not people from the outside, right? That tells us a lot, right? Well, this Mamdani guy, he just, again, seemingly came out of nowhere. He reminds us of someone else, right? I'm not going to say who. And, you can see a clip from, I think it was a day ago or a couple of days ago, there was a debate, Democratic debate, and they asked him about, do you recognize Israel? Are you going to travel to Israel? He said, well, I said before, you don't need to travel to Israel to stand up for Jewish New Yorkers, whether it be their temples and synagogues and all these kind of places. And I recognize Israel as a state for with equal rights, as if Israel doesn't have equal rights there, with 2 million Arabs and 10 or 15 of them in the Knesset, Arabs who are part of society, integral part of society, etc., etc. Well, we know all that, guys. At least we know. So, my friends, I'm going to put it forth to you that this guy's straight up an agent of the Iranian regime. He's not trying to run for mayor. He's not trying to be the mayor of New York. He's trying to be the person that takes down the economic center of, deliberately. Not because he's stupid, not because he's a communist who doesn't know what he's doing, so to speak. He's trying to be the person who's going to take down the economic center, probably of the world. Literally is of the world, not just America. And what happens when all the investment banks, all the banks that are in New York with their offices, they pick up and leave, right? New York becomes a desolate wasteland. But now, once you get New York, the next step is every other major city in America, right? Metropolitan area. My friends, after that, the question becomes, where are Jews going to go? Are we going to have a mass exodus into Miami? Some people are going to trickle into Israel, and other people are just going to flood Miami. Flood, or not only Miami, just Florida in general. I mean, you can't just, every Jew in America is going to populate one state. It's a possibility, but guys, I mean, none of these scenarios are sustainable. We understand that, right? If we just take like a kind of a tertiary look at Jewish history, there's no scenarios where Jews are driven out of one pocket or one area and go to another area within the same country. There's no scenario where that's been sustainable, right? The difference is, at those times, we didn't have an opportunity to go to Israel. I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday. We were just talking about like the idea of Aliyah, and because it's funny, I always see him everywhere I go. If I go to Israel, I see him in Israel. He's always traveling around, and then I go to some other event, let's say in America, and I see him here. There's a lot of transience in the Jewish world, right? So I'll say, what's stopping you from making Aliyah? He's like, well, I thought about it. I don't know, this and that. I said, I totally understand all the hardships, but I said to him, it's way easier, I think, to make Aliyah today in 2025 than it was in 2010, even with all the stuff going on, by the way. But just bureaucratically speaking, it's way easier. Financially, I don't know, a little bit easier. So, my friends, it's not sustainable. The whole scenario is not sustainable for Jews. New York is teetering on really being taken down, literally, by the Iranian regime. Now you could say to me, well, I have my friend Frank, he says, well, Mamdani's not going to win. Curtis Sliwa has to become the mayor of New York. Let's just say I agree for a second. Folks, that doesn't matter because, and even Frank will agree with me that, because just the fact that this guy Mamdani or somebody like him, right, is even a consideration, even in the running, even in a twinkle in the eyes of some of these just useful idiots in New York, it just shows us what's coming down the pike. United States fee, maybe things will change and maybe people will wake up. Maybe we'll just get Sliwa or someone else, and then they'll see what a job he's doing for New York, and then they're not going to vote for these kind of guys, Mamdani types, in the future. Folks, I mean, look what happened with de Blasio. We had Giuliani, who fixed up the city. Then we had Bloomberg for many years. And then we got de Blasio. Folks, I mean, there's nothing stopping communists. There's nothing stopping, in this case, Islamists. There's nothing stopping a well-funded, smooth-talking, literally Iranian agent. There's nothing stopping him from becoming the mayor. And if he becomes mayor, I don't think there's anything that's going to stop him from basically driving most Jews out of New York. Any Jews with any sense in their head. And also investment banks and all the rest of it, guys. So, interesting scenario we're in, huh? The most Jewish city in the history of the diaspora. The center of the financial world is possibly 2 months away from being put in a, I don't know, chokehold, or what do they call in WWE? The chicken wing? The figure four by the Iranian regime. Let's see what happens, guys.